And when you try to censor, you know, our freedom of speech, knowing that hip hop is like, you know, the last frontier of black expression in many ways. You know what I'm saying? This is ours. This is what we...
All the shit you see. Well, nigga, nightmares didn't come during the things as a zombies. Open and see armed robberies. 250 carbon copies. Autopsies. Dying young was the prophecy. I was raised in poverty and poverty. Malnourished, food a commodity. Bare feet, missing teeth. Raggedy clothes.
I've been working for, you know, the past 14 years without my brother.
When Let God Sort Them Out, the newest album from Virginia Beach rap duo Clipse, dropped on July 11th, hip-hop heads shared in unison, a return to real rap, real hip-hop some even said. But if you're a fan of rap music that doesn't live on the Billboard charts from artists whose faces aren't plastered on the covers of Complex, XXL, or Vibe, you'll know real rap has been here all this year. While mainstream commercial rap carried 2024, 2025 belongs to the entrancing, boundless, and sometimes weird world of hip-hop's underground, and no one made such a huge horrifying splash like Billy Woods. With the year edging towards its end, and Album of the Year rankings becoming more solidified, did Clipse outrhyme the terror of Woods' Golliwog?
I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots, reporting on hip-hop culture through a mix of soapbox editorials, weird commercial breaks, and some very serious guests.
You can catch the words and everything and understand what's going down, but
I think it's nice though. I really do. It's nice. We just do not understand it.
Top down, chrome spinning.
Instead of the usual swagger lyrics that detail the lives of brothers Terrence and Jane Thornton, better known as Clipse, the fourth studio album from the siblings begins on a somber note with track 1, The Birds Don't Sing. The piano melody you hear on the track was written by Stevie Wonder, and the whole track, along with the rest of the album, is produced by Pharrell Williams. Williams adds his signature production style, such as dominating drums and vocal layering. You hear his ad-libs over the John Legend chorus, which also includes the Voices of Fire gospel choir. The song is Terrence, stage name Pusha T, and Jane, stage name Malice, memorial to their deceased parents. From interviews on the brothers' upbringing archived on the internet, the two had a relatively normal and loving childhood, middle-class African-American parents who supported their pursuits. The years they spent rhyming about selling cocaine, crack, and other drugs are much longer than their actual time in the streets, teenagers who got into the drug trade simply because of the finer things the money afforded. Pusha T has to be one of the top 5 bougiest rappers alive, a fine taste he loves telling you and other rappers about.
Too much enamel covers your necklace. I buy, you buy them sections. You buy watches, I buy collections. I want to see stones. I don't want to see shellacked. Nothing.
Unlike other drug dealers whose fates resided in a prison cell or the graveyard, the brothers found success in rap music. Clipse link up with their consistent production team through Malice's relationship with Virginia producers The Neptunes, a duo composed of Chad Hugo and Pharrell Williams. Chad Hugo is not on the latest Clipse project because of a trademark legal war with Williams. Malice was the first rapper in the family and influenced his brother Pusha T to start rapping too. From a suggestion from Pharrell Williams, the two became a dual act. Over the years, Clipse has had a fair bit of label issues and changes. Pusha T released all of his solo work under Kanye West's Good Music label, but the relationship between the two men has drastically soured. Clipse's studio album before Let God Sort Them Out included Lord Willing, Hell Have No Fury, Until the Cassette Drops. There was also We Got It For Cheap mixtape era.
Keys, open doors. Throw it on the scale, feed your goddamn self. Get it how you live, we don't ask for help, no.
Malice found religion and took a break in the 2010s, but is fully back in the rap game. White Glove Service with the break I Am Luigi, So Ecstasy and Disappear I Am Houdini. Track 4, Ace Trumpets.
I grew up with a literary critic and scholar, so my mother is a person who advocates the idea that whether or not somebody intended to say something to a text, it could still be in there. People are going to judge it, people are going to interpret it. So approaching it kind of like having a child or something. And you know, if somebody's like, you know, I met your kid the other day and they're an asshole, I mean, maybe they are, you know.
Similar to Let God Sort Them Out, Billy Woods' Golliwog begins on a serious and heavy note, In fact, the mood for Jump Scare, the first track on the album featuring Steel Tip Dove, goes beyond somber and into fright. Steel Tip Dove is a producer and mixing mastering engineer. He's one of the many elite producers enlisted for Golliwog, such as The Alchemist, Conductor Williams, LP, Kenny Siegel, Preservation, Sad Hugo, DJ Haram, and Elucid. Woods and Elucid are the hip-hop duo Arm & Hammer. Messiah music is year 2. Going back to track 1, Jump Scare, it begins with what sounds like an old film gearing up to play, followed by whoosh sound effects. Sound-wise, eerily close to airstrikes you'll find in Sudan and Gaza. When the listener hears Billy Woods for the first time, it's over a lullaby instrumental, and by the time you get to the chorus, he's scaring the hoes, as some would say. One strip of tarmac laid through the wilderness to where the natives work the pits, so you don't eat the fish. One strip of tarmac laid through the wilderness where the planes and ships sit, it's a grid. The Rhodesian Bush War, or Zimbabwe War of Independence, was 10 years of some of the bloodiest fighting in any Southern African liberation struggle. It even included the use of biological warfare by the Rhodesians and their South African apartheid patrons. I was born in America and I was still living in America during the war. My mother was not going to move there and my father was a political exile. He could only go back once the peace agreements came in and when the elections happened. So when my grandfather on my father's side was dying before the war was over, my father went to the border, but he didn't dare enter Zimbabwe because he could have been arrested by Rhodesian security forces and disappear. By the time I got to Zimbabwe, majority rule had won the day. I arrived in the aftermath and I saw the first 10 years of Zimbabwe's existence. My father was part of a government and it was a very political atmosphere anyway, given that it was a brand new country with a pretty strong Marxist political philosophy among its leadership. And for my father, who was Marxist, trying to find an African Marxism, the liberation of his country and him being part of that was, I think, naturally an achievement of his dreams. Billy Woods told Armian, for a piece with Jacobin, a leftist socialist American magazine. Woods is about the same age as Pusha T and like the Clips duo grew up black middle class. The Afro-diasporic nature of his identity, Jamaican professor mom, and Zimbabwean political dad reflect the broadness and the complexity of the black experience in America. You can be descendants of formerly enslaved West Africans like Pusha T and Malice, a mix of the Caribbean slave trade and more direct African roots like Billy Woods, or a first-gen immigrant who's lived here since she was 5 like me, your narrator for today's programming. After his father's death and his family's return to Washington, D.C., Billy Woods moved to New York City and began to make a name for himself in the underground rap scene. Choosing to stay independent, which Clips now are, by the way, but they have a much larger marketing and distribution budget than Woods. Billy Woods' music output over the years have been prolific, but his studio albums include Camouflage, The Chalice, History Will Absolve Me, Dour Candy, Today I Wrote Nothing, Known Unknowns, Terror Management, Aethiopes.
If you don't want anyone to critique what you're doing, you should just keep it to yourself.
Back to Jacobin magazine. Can you tell me how you made the decision to hide your face as an artist? It's hard for me to remember if there was a definite moment of decision. It's like if someone asked me, how did you come up with your name? It was a confluence of events and thoughts and coincidence. When you're relatively young and you have an idea, then sometimes before you know it, the idea is going. In 2000, early 2001, I had some things to be concerned about as I left Washington, D.C. I wanted to be able to speak freely without being afraid of my words being used against me, and also to speak freely about politics. I didn't want to be associated with my family's name or myself once I visited D.C. again, so I thought this would be the safer thing to do. It's also tied into the fact I never wanted to be famous. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to make music that people cared about, but I've never thought about being famous. I didn't want to be recognized. I didn't particularly like having my photograph taken, so it wasn't a difficult decision in that sense. I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots. The revolution will be televised, all bars and no skips.
Today I watched a man die in a hole from the comfort of my home. Drone flew real low, no rush, real slow. He curled up into himself, a fetus in the womb. Womb was the earth. Grenades landed at his feet and he scrabbled in the dirt.
I need everybody to do rollouts again.
And I personally don't like rappers who don't rap.
Y'all ain't Beyonce. Y'all not Drake.
going out to Wyoming and working on Use This Gospel with Ye, with my brother.
The music landscape has changed, y'all.
Hey, easy. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yep. Is this right? It's on you. Recording Academy.
Yeah.
Talking soft.
We just can't be like, oh, Thursday I dropped a new album. That ain't where we're at.
The Gollywog is the least known of the major anti-black caricatures in the United States. Gollywogs are grotesque creatures with very dark, often jet black skin, large, white rim eyes, red or white clown lips, and wild, frizzy hair. The Gollywog image, popular in England and other European countries, is found on a variety of items, including postcards, jam jars, paperweights, brooches, wallets, perfume bottles, wooden puzzles, sheet music, wallpaper, pottery, jewelry, greeting cards, clocks, and dolls. For the past 4 decades, Europeans have debated whether the Gollywog is a lovable icon or a racist symbol. Dr. David Pilgrim wrote for Jim Crow Museum's website. You'll find a Gollywog on the cover art for Billy Wood's new album and Cause artwork for Clip's new project. The different approaches and visual identity for these albums also seep into their work's lyrical content. After their memorial track to their parents on Let God Sort Them Out, Clips immediately fall back into luxurious indulgence and other vices. There are well-written disses to rappers who lack integrity to the brothers like Travis Scott, or rappers who dare speak ill of their name like Jim Jones. All I see is 60-day stars and 20 or 1,000 years. Not enough shopping, a whole lot of browsing ears. Pusha T raps in POV, and that's not even the most lethal line on the track. Malice, who chose to lessen the swear words for his verses, raps in the same track. If they had to weigh the option, call it obese, I mix it like Mahomes and I tell him go deep. The rag top drop playing hide and go seek, the Bentley leather match the piping, that's the motif. And despite the seriousness that Gollywog can be, Billy Woods also has fun in his writing. Niggas try to yap me, I left town, I'm not tough, I came back when niggas got locked up, I know them niggas is dumb. It's such a funny line in the sadness of a Doll Full of Pins track, but the lyrical debate between the three men ultimately dwindles to a battle between Billy Woods and Malice, and it isn't an easy win for Woods.
Pusha let me hear his verse for Birds Don't Sing. He sent it to me, and I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. I like the word, first of all. I like the word gollywog.
Chains and Whips came about, again, another Paris, Louis Vuitton session.
When you write it down, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an even number of letters, although I really have no idea. And it ends and starts with the same letter.
He wanted to get rid of it.
What?
Yeah.
No.
That's Mike Tyson blows to the face.
It looks good on a piece of paper. It has a certain je ne sais quoi when you say it.
Billy Woods and Clip's independent releases saw 2 very different album rollouts. Clips left their Def Jam deal and partnered with Roc Nation for Let God Sort Them Out due to a dispute over Kendrick Lamar's verse on track 2, Chains and Whips. Roc Nation is a massive stakeholder in the rap industry and was founded by Jay-Z. With the resources of Roc Nation, you saw the brothers in spreads for GQ magazine, front row at Paris Fashion Week because their producer is the creative director of a major fashion house, and marketing interviews with the largest music streaming services, Apple Music and Spotify. Billy Woods' preference for privacy and just a smaller business at his label, Backwoods Studios, made it an easy win for Clips in the rollout category. Press for Gollywog stayed firmly in the white legacy media realm, with articles from Rolling Stone, Pitchfork, and the New York Times. The Griots reached out to Woods for an interview and didn't hear back.
He is not a person that we ain't the same. We can't. Outside of music, we're nothing.
You and Kanye.
Yeah, we can't be anything outside of music.
On the other hand, Pusha T and Malice recognized the symbolism of their return and came well prepared to feed the streets. By the July 11th release date of Let God Sort Them Out, everyone in the culture knew they were dropping. With every podcast interview or radio station drop-in, you never got the feeling the brothers were tired of talking to us. Every week or even day, a new soundbite from one of their interviews gained traction on social media. Malice's facial reactions became a meme, and Pusha T's commitment to keeping it real was a mire. What made Clip's rollout so good is because they actually didn't do anything unique. 10 years ago, their rollout would be pretty standard in the music industry. Instead of just relying on their name recognition and the support of their diehard fans to cruise them to the Billboard charts, Clip set out to reintroduce themselves to the old and new consumers. I'm curious, what kind of music you guys listen to outside of hip-hop, and what were you listening to while making the album? Pusha T? I listened to Sade and 90s R&B. Malice? Coldplay, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Killers. The duo wrote to fans in an Ask Me Anything thread for the Hip Hop Heads subreddit.
This is culturally inappropriate.
Came back for the money, that's the devil in me. Had to hide it from the church, that's the Jekyll in me. Track 3, POV.
Did you see me try to instigate you and Jim?
Yeah, I seen that too.
Pusha T or Malice?
Sand it down everything. Brothers on it. We polish this. Yeah. You have no idea the way we polish this. You can eat off these songs.
They got you gas, you must think that you the new hope. You a 4.0, nigga.
It took me about 79, 100 times to do it, and I almost text Pusha, I don't think this is gonna work.
As noted prior, for their return, Clip stayed with longtime producer Pharrell Williams, rather than the full Neptune's experience, and the album was recorded in Paris at the Louis Vuitton headquarters. Chad Hugo's absence from the project is not noticeable, and Williams has proven he still has great taste. At the same time, when he starts singing on track 11, So Far Ahead, he becomes the tape's weakest moment. It makes sense why Clip stuck to Williams' production, nostalgia and loyalty a big factor, but you can't help but wonder what the album would sound like if they took a risk and expanded their production team. Billy Wood's Golliwog has a sonic theme throughout, which is horror, but each track still feels unexpected, experimental, and much later than a Pharrell Williams production. Track 7, Corinthians, hears Woods belting out his first verse sooner than later, a mix of words you don't understand fully, yet the urgency in which Wood says them puts you on high alert. When he stops talking to you, the suspense is heightened through war zone instrumentals, then the soft voice of a woman speaking both English and Chinese. She's reciting Lu Xun's A Madman's Diary. Minutes into the song, when Billy Wood finally finishes his verses and introduces feature artist Despot, the intensity of the track never subsides. Now go to track 11, A Doll Full of Pens, and the mood has shifted again. Woods tackles horror differently here, leaning into despair with the help of jazz. Meta Rasmussen plays the saxophone for the track, and Yulana Watson's vocal interlude leaves you awestruck.
We're gonna have a signing.
Keep my head
On Let God Sort Them Out, standout tracks when it comes to production are number 4, So Be It, and number 7, Mike Tyson Blow to the Face. So Be It heavily samples a Saudi song from 1976. There's a bunch of articles circulating online from rap media about how producer Swiss Beats saved the day in getting the sample clear due to his connections in Saudi Arabia. A backup was even made for the song, So Be It Part 2, which you heard when the album officially dropped since the sample hadn't been clear yet. Mike Tyson Blow to the Face is another cool production on the album, a woman saying something you can't quite figure out in the background with a beat that sounds like 90s New York hip-hop.
One of the most important and fascinating aspects of African tradition and culture is the presence of the griot.
Reporting from the American Empire, I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots. I wrote and produced this episode. Our theme song for this season is Jaws by Suzuki-san. Our Instagram and other cool stuff can be found on our website. Links are always in the description. Thank you to the ancestors. Until next time.